Hey everybody, welcome back to Southern Gal True Crime. Or if this is your first time here, thank you so much for choosing to watch this video out of the millions of videos that are out there. In this video, I have yet another missing persons cold case this time to share with you. And this is the case of China Videon. And China has been missing from Christiana, Tennessee since October of 1999. So China was last seen in Christiana on October 19th, 1999, and she disappeared while she was out on a trip to get groceries and gas. So a little background on China. She was born on November 30th, 1982. She lived on U.S. Highway 231 in Christiana, Tennessee. She was a junior at Riverdale High School. She worked at the Bilo grocery store, which is now a Publix, located on the corner of South Rutherford Boulevard and Southeast Broad Street, which is in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. So apparently, shortly before her disappearance, she purchased a 1999 Mazda Protege car, had tinted windows. She did not have a cell phone, but she did own a pager, and she would always get in touch with her mother as soon as she was paged. So according to her mother, China had no problems at home, no problems at school, apparently. She would always tell her parents where she would be. It sounds like just a very responsible young lady. So on October 19th, 1999, China picked up her paycheck after working at a shift at this Bilo grocery store. That evening, she took her car out to get groceries and gas. She was last seen visiting her mother at the Just Image beauty salon, which is located in the Jackson Heights Plaza in their hometown of Christiana. After that, China has not been seen or heard from since. Her mother did report her missing to the Rutherford County Sheriff's Department after she failed to return home. But this burns me up. Due to department policy, the search for China did not begin for 48 hours. So they lost 2 whole days after this young lady went missing. And that is something, a pet peeve of mine when it comes to these missing persons cases, especially teenagers. As far as I know, there is no, now, individual police departments apparently have their own policies of how, what they do with missing persons cases. But as far as I know, there is no law that says you have to wait 24 or 48 hours before you can either report a person missing or anything of that nature. So be that as it may, 48 hours until an actual search began for China. So authorities initially believed, once again, another thing that some police departments do, they initially believed that China had left on her own accord with an adult male. However, foul play is now suspected. Police initially stated that she had been seen in the home of 2 men who worked as managers with her at the grocery store that she worked at. However, this has not been confirmed. One early report said that China was last seen at the Golden Gallon convenience store, which is located at 2610 South Church Street. However, by the time investigators went to review the surveillance footage, it had already been recorded over. So China's mother, Suzanne, then reached out to the Center to NaMUS, Center for Missing and Exploited Children, for help. They began working with them to distribute flyers with China's face on it. NaMUS is a wonderful organization. So in June of 2000, China's car was found abandoned at an apartment complex off of Harding Road in Nashville, Tennessee. So she went missing in, when did I say? 1999. So about a year later, a little bit less than a year later, her car was found abandoned at an apartment complex off of Harding Road in Nashville, Tennessee. And it said the car looked like it had been there since she disappeared. The groceries that China purchased on the day of the disappearance were still inside the car, as well as some of her personal belongings. The car was processed for evidence in Nashville, but police were not able to find any fingerprints, any sign of struggle, anything of evidentiary value in the car. So fast forward to 2015, and authorities announced that they believed that China had been the victim of a homicide. So I don't know. Apparently, they cultivated some kind of information, either from investigative work or tips that may have come in that led them to believe that she was the victim of foul play. So they said they had two suspects in her case. These suspects were only known as TJ and Chris. TJ had been living in Goose Creek, South Carolina for over a decade. He worked on James Island, and this other guy, Chris, apparently lived in Alabama. And investigators said at that time an arrest was imminent. However, no arrest, as of 2025, no arrest have ever been made in connection to China's disappearance. So, of course, the location of China, as well as the circumstances surrounding her disappearance, remain unknown. Her case is classified as endangered missing. Remains unsolved. That's interesting to say or to note. Now, this information is coming from disappearedblog.com, but it is interesting to say it's only classified as endangered missing and not with a tag. Sometimes they put it as endangered missing possible homicide, even though they said they do believe that she possibly is the victim of a homicide. But be that as it may. So in an article, I found an article from October of 2025, from so a recent article. Her mother is still searching for answers, obviously, in China's disappearance. And in this article, in this interview, her mom says that just out of the blue, China told her, "Mom, don't be sad if I died." That was obviously very disturbing, very cryptic. Don't know, exactly why she said that. So she said, "Mom, don't be sad if I died." And when her mother, Suzanne, questioned her daughter why she made the comment, her daughter did not have an answer. And then just 6 days later is when China disappeared. Her mother says, "I think sometimes they know," talking about China. So it's been all these years later since her mother saw her daughter, whom she now believes is deceased. But just in case, her mother does keep her cell phone on since China has kept the cell phone on since China disappeared. She turned it off only briefly recently when she bought a new phone. Her mom, who's a registered nurse, was recovering from knee surgery, and her roommate Tina spent the afternoon in therapy at Painted Clay Studio, where she painted a food bowl for her dog. Best friend Terry stopped by to spend time with China's mom. The mother appealed for people with information about China's disappearance to call Detective Lieutenant Bill Sharp or Detective Sergeant Dan Goodwin of the Sheriff's Cold Case Unit at 615-217-4373 or 615-898-7916. She believes that someone knows what happened to China, but may be afraid to come forward. And unfortunately, that does happen in a lot of these cases. That's why we always say, implore people, if you saw something, say something. If you know something, say something. It's just that one little, no matter how small or insignificant you think, what you saw, what you heard, nothing is ever too small, especially in these cold cases. Other people may have information about China's disappearance that they believe may not be important, but may be the clues that detectives need. Or her mom says, or someone will get a guilty conscience and come forward. Sometimes that does happen. As time passes in these cold cases, people that may have been afraid to say something because They may, if something nefarious happened, if they know the person who may have done it, they may be afraid to say anything in fear of retribution. But as time goes by, people move away, people pass away. A person who may have information about maybe somebody that they were intimately in a relationship with may have separated from that person, and with the separation, the distance, they may be more willing to come forward to say something. So we just hope something like that will happen in China's case. Her mom clings to hope that the crime will be solved. Her mom says, I would like closure. I want justice to be served. Absolutely. And that's all any of these families want, is just some kind of closure, some kind of information. That's just all they want. Her mom goes on to say, I want to know what happened to her and where she is. If a person has a heart and soul, they should come forward. Her mom recalled the last time that she saw China, a Riverdale High School student who worked at the Bilo grocery store on Rutherford Boulevard. On the night of October 19th, 1999, China got off work. She met her mother about 7 p.m. at a beauty salon in Jackson Heights Plaza. Then she left to go to a friend's house. She said nothing seemed amiss. Nothing seemed wrong. Susan, her mother, returned home about 7 p.m. As she drove up the driveway of her Shelbyville highway home, she says she suddenly stopped. She says, I can't describe it. She just got this feeling. She said she was motioning with her hands about a feeling that she experienced. She says it started at the top of my head, right here, then moved down my body, through my feet into the ground. Is that we would call, a mother's intuition. A mother knows these things. She said it was just weird. She said she repeatedly paged China. She did not get an answer. Her older daughter Cheyenne, who was 18 at the time, she was searched for China, could not locate her. They notified the sheriff's office. Several detectives have investigated the case, but no one has been charged. Goodwin said that China's black Mazda was found about 9 months later. So 9 months later is when the car was found, on June 23rd, 2000, in an apartment complex off of Harding Road in Antioch. And I don't know, and it always baffles me, and it always makes me wonder if they know what kind of car, in any case, if they know what kind of car the missing person was driving, if the car is missing, and I'm assuming, I'm just going to assume that this place where they found the car was relatively close. It's not like it was 100 miles away. How did it take somebody 9 months to realize it was there? And once again, I'm not there. I'm not in their shoes, but it just always baffles me, because we see this once again a lot in these kind of cases. Goodwin says, it's clear that China was the victim of a crime. It's our intention to do our best to solve that crime and find out what became of her. Give us a call, even if you talked to detectives before. Since her disappearance, China's mom thinks of her daughter every day, obviously. She says, China and I were almost like friends. We did everything together. Cheyenne, her sister, was a social butterfly. Her mom still lives in the same house. She kept China's bedroom untouched, just left it just like it was the day she disappeared. She says she often goes down to lay down and rest, or just to sit down on the bed and cry. And it says 6 months ago, as this article was written, she did finally put China's belongings in storage. It's such a hard thing to do for these parents. She says the reminder is so overpowering. I felt I needed to change part of it so it would be easier to deal with. She added, I think to remain healthy, sometimes you need to let go of something that's very painful to you. Day in and day out. She copes by working and keeping busy. Some days she says she sits and cries. She says, I don't think it gets any easier. She says, I think your anger grows. I know I know I should forgive and forget, but when there's no closure, that is very hard to do. Absolutely. Thomas says it's particularly difficult because a parent should not have to bury a child. Rory says there's always hope. Her mom knows it's always painful to lose your child, but most parents have a chance to touch their child and tell them goodbye with a touch or a kiss. She says, I'm denied a chance to bury her, to say goodbye to her. It's just so very heartbreaking what these parents have to go through. And once again, I've talked to so many, especially mothers of who've had loved ones, daughters, sons go missing, and it's just, my heart just goes out to each and every anybody who's ever had a missing loved one. But once again, to recap, China Videon has been missing from Christiana, Tennessee since October 19th, 1999. She was just 16 years old when she went missing. She would be 42 years old as of 2025. At the time she went missing, she was approximately 5'3" tall and 120 pounds, with brown hair and blue eyes. She does have a scar on her right knee and a tattoo of a blue butterfly on her right hip. Her ears are pierced multiple times. Her navel is pierced, and she wears contact lenses. So if you have any information at all, once again, no bit of information is too small, especially in these cold cases. You're asked to contact the Rutherford County Sheriff's Office at 615-898-7770. The FBI Washington, D.C. office at 202-324-3000. So, guys, you can help bring more attention, more awareness to China's case by giving the video a like. Please leave a comment below. But the most important thing you can do is share this video anywhere and everywhere you can to all your social media platforms, so that China's face, her name, her story stays out there, so that she is never forgotten. If you would like to learn more about missing persons cases such as China's or unsolved cold cases, please consider subscribing. If you'd like to help support the channel so we can keep bringing you cases like China's, you can find the donation links in the About section of the channel, or somewhere down below. There's a little button that says thanks. You can hit that, give a one-time donation for the video. As always, thanks for watching. Have a blessed day, and I will see you next time.